All rise. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This ceremony session for this ceremony session for Superior Court for the 26th District is now in session. On call by the judge presiding. You may be seated and come to order.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I know it's a sad occasion, but we can do better than that. Good afternoon. I'm Senior Resident Superior Court Judge Carla Archie, and it is my honor and privilege on the Sabbath to preside over this ceremonial session marking the retirement of our friend and colleague, Superior Court Judge Donnie Hoover. You know, many of you are gathered here, both in the courtroom and virtually online, because you have had the privilege and pleasure of working with Judge Hoover over the years, either as a lawyer or a judge, and you know him as I do to be quiet and reserved. And so when I thought how we might honor Judge Hoover on his retirement, I thought he might do something quiet and reserved, like a dinner. And he said, talk to my daughter, Maya. I think she has something else in mind. And so when she suggested a ceremonial session to mark his retirement, I said, well, Maya, we've never done anything like that before. There's no script for that. And she said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And here we are, gathered in this place at this appointed time to honor our friend and congratulate him on his retirement. And I can't think of a better person for whom we might do something different. And I can't think of a more special occasion with which we might start perhaps a lasting tradition. And so I'm sure there's going to be a chorus of congratulations today, Judge Hoover. Let me be the first to say, on behalf of the state of North Carolina, the judicial branch in particular, all of your colleagues in this noble profession that we know is the practice of law, and all of your friends and family members in this community, congratulations. I am going to call upon the Reverend Dr. Monty Witherspoon Brown to lead us with an invocation. If you don't mind stepping to the podium.
Good afternoon. As a pastor, I have the privilege sort of peek into people's lives. And one of the spaces that I learn a lot about folks is in the vestibule, shaking hands after service. And on one particular occasion, Judge Hoover was exiting the building, and I shook my hand. And normally what he does with me is sort of beat around the bush before he gets to the point. And so he's sitting there, I could see in his eyes that he had an intense concern and almost mixed with compassion. And you could look on his shoulders and see that there was a weight. And after he got through beating around the bush, he got to the point. He said, without divulging names or information, he said, Pastor, you should pray for me. I have some decisions to make, there's some outcomes, particularly in a particular case. And he just asked for prayer. And I thought, what an incredible human being that not only takes his work home with him to his house, but brings his work to the Lord's house. And so in the same manner in which he has asked for prayer for others, and I'm sure he's prayed for individuals himself, let us now pray for him. God, we're grateful for this ceremony and for this occasion. Although it's bittersweet, Lord, we know that your hand has been upon his life. We pray now that your presence will be with us as we send him forward into the next phase of his journey. We pray that the words that are shared today may be inspirational to his soul and to his heart, to his mind. We thank you for this gathering and be with us and be in our midst. In your name we pray. Amen.
And now I'm going to call on my colleagues in the judiciary to introduce themselves, many of whom are seated to my left and your right. We will start at that.
Good afternoon, my name is here from Superior Court and Judge Perfect.
Good afternoon, Stephen Little, District Judge.
Good afternoon, Gary Henderson, District Court Judge. Good afternoon, everyone. Boyd Williams, District Court Judge.
Karen McFarland, District Court Judge. Good afternoon, everyone. Virginia Williams, District Court Judge. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Virginia Williams Mitchell, and they know I always been honored and excited to say the longest serving District Court Judge, and then they were back.
Blue Trash, Superior Court Judge, tallest judge.
Good afternoon, Judge Casey Alvarez, District Court. Maybe one of the shortest, but good afternoon, Tayani Hands. I think I'm probably the shortest.
I do want to acknowledge, because I see her in the audience, retired Supreme Court Justice Patricia Timmons-Goodson. At this point, I am going to call on several speakers to join us here at the front of the room at the podium so that our guests online can hear you and see you as well. And I'm going to remind you to keep your comments brief. I think you all have been given instructions to limit your remarks to 2 to 3 minutes. And so we will follow the order in which you have been instructed, starting with a bit of background about Judge Hoover from Judge Hoover.
Good afternoon again, everyone. It is my honor to share the biography of Judge Hoover. I am humbled to be here, and on my behalf and on behalf of all of the judges whom he has poured into over the years, and all the attorneys into whom he has poured his wisdom, his patience, his guidance, his humor. I just want to say congratulations. We are just all humbled to have been a part of your journey and to know, and I hope you know, you will always be a part of ours. Judge Donnie Hoover's legal career has spanned over 47 years, 33 years as an attorney, 10 years as a district court judge, and almost 4 years as a Superior Court judge. Born in Charlotte, North Carolina, Judge Hoover was primarily raised by his maternal grandparents on a farm off of Yorkmont Road. He was educated at Plato Price and York Road High School before graduating from West Charlotte High School in 1967. Judge Hoover welcomed the opportunity to escape farm life by going to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for his undergraduate studies. While at UNC, Judge Hoover began his advocacy journey. After noticing the gross mistreatment of Black cafeteria workers on campus and the lack of African American studies classes, Judge Hoover worked with his fellow students to form the Black Student Movement in 1968 and fight for change. And y'all know he has not stopped fighting. Because of their efforts, not only did the cafeteria workers finally get the opportunities they deserve, but the university also agreed to establish an African American Studies program. Judge Hoover graduated from UNC with a double major in political science and African American Studies in 1971. He became the first of 2 graduates from that program with an African American Studies major. After leaving Chapel Hill, Judge Hoover continued his education at North Carolina Central University School of Law, where he graduated in 1974. He then began his legal career in Washington, D.C. in the Attorney General's Honors Program as a trial attorney with the Civil Division of the United States Department of Justice. He remained in D.C. for 9 years before returning to Charlotte and working in private practice for over 24 years. And I do believe at least one person who worked with him is in this room. In 2008, he was appointed to the Mecklenburg County District Court, where he served for 10 years before being appointed to the Mecklenburg County Superior Court in 2018. Outside of the courtroom, Judge Hoover is and has always been committed to serving the community at large. As a judge, he worked hard to establish a veterans jail diversion program and also worked with Goodwill Industries, the Center for Communities in Transition, and the Exodus Foundation to help ex-offenders who appear before him find employment. Judge Hoover also worked extensively on our behalf, on behalf of our youth through the Governor's Gang Task Force, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools Truancy Court Program, and the Greater Enrichment Program, an after-school program for disadvantaged children. Judge Hoover is a member of the Mecklenburg County Bar Association, the John S. Leary Bar Association, the North Carolina Association of Superior Court Judges. Judge Hoover is a life member of the NAACP, a member and past master of the Zachariah Alexander Senior Lodge number 833, Prince Hall affiliate, a Shriner, and a member of the Black Political Caucus of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. Judge Hoover is a lifelong member of Steel Creek AME Zion Church, where he has served as a musician and trustee and was chairman from 2007 to 2017. Judge Hoover has been married for over 51 years to his high school sweetheart, Josephine Welsh Hoover, Miss Jo, who is a retired educator. They have one beautiful daughter, Maya Hoover Capers. In his free time, Judge Hoover enjoys listening to gospel music, playing the piano, and traveling. However, his absolute favorite activity is spending time with his grandson, Nolan, watching trains, riding trains, or playing with trains. Judge Hoover, on behalf of this entire community, congratulations to you on your remarkable legal career and its lasting impact. We wish you all the best as you retire and hope you know that your impact, your contributions, and the love that you have shown to many of us will never be forgotten. Congratulations, sir.
The Honorable Patricia Timmons.
Please support. Judge Hoover, Josephine, Maya, and the entire Hoover family, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this special day. In speaking with Donnie a while back, he told me of the plans for this event. He said that I was with him at the beginning as I swore in as a district court judge. And he said I welcomed him to the judiciary, and he thought it most appropriate that just as I had been present as he put on his robe for the first time, that I be with him as he took that robe off for the last time, if my schedule would permit. At that time, I knew that there was absolutely no doubt where I would be today. And so I'm here, and I'm here to offer my thanks for a job well done. Judge, your retirement ends about 14 years, as I calculated, of dedicated judicial service on both of North Carolina's trial courts. Some of the most intractable disputes of our citizens and our businesses have come before you. You've resolved those disputes through legal analysis, legal research, and just plain common sense. And for that, we thank you. You've distinguished yourself in your service to the judiciary each and every day that you were on the bench. You displayed the fairness, the integrity, the patience, and the justice that we want to see in our courts. You are a pioneering student, Black student at UNC Chapel Hill, and you've pioneered, as we have heard, many great efforts in your community. To God be the glory for all of the great work that you've done. Whether one describes the stage of life that you and Josephine are about to enter as new path second career, or second season of service. You have earned it. May you and all of your family continue to be blessed. All of North Carolina is grateful for all of the effort that you've put in to make our state and our judicial system a better place.
Next call on Superior Court Judge Donnie Hoover.
Please, court.
Oftentimes, people think that judges each are live in their own completely individual world, in their own courtrooms, in their own chambers. But the reality is that up on the 9th floor here in Mecklenburg County and across the state, judges are like every office or every family. We're one big, maybe dysfunctional family, but we're a family. And if you think about your own families at home, that when you have a really difficult decision where you need to know what the right thing to do is. I didn't say the expedient thing. I didn't say the thing that makes you feel good. I didn't say the thing that you can rationalize doing. I said, when you need to know what the right thing to do is, I'm guessing if you all shut your eyes, in fact, everybody shut your eyes with me, somebody in your family, an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, a grandpa will come to mind. That person who will approach that problem that you go to them with life experience, with intelligence, with discernment, with patience, with faith, with compassion, in short, with wisdom. Well, as long as I can remember, at least the last 14 years, on our 9th floor, in our family, we had an uncle, Donnie Hoover. And he was the person you go to when you want to know what the right thing to do is. And you heard Pastor talk about where he gets his wisdom from and all the sources that he relies on when he shares that wisdom with us. You know, in thinking about that, why is Donnie Hoover the person that you go to in those difficult moments in your life? And I came across an article from Judicature, probably pronounced it wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. It's this fancy law magazine, I think, that Duke somehow puts out. I'm sorry, it should be a Chapel Hill journal, Donnie, but it's a Duke journal. But they did a survey in the community and what they wanted out of their judges, what qualities they wanted. And they had a whole list of things. These are the top 5. And I want you to think about who you know who may be taking off their robe today, who embodies these qualities. Deep legal knowledge, a reputation for integrity and high ethical standards, substantial experience practicing law, reputation as a good listener with good demeanor, something we know as temperament, understands community preferences. In other words, what's going on out there, because everybody who comes in front of you in the district and the Superior Court bench should be treated the same. Donnie Hoover represents all of those qualities. Notice they didn't say speedy. They didn't say fast. They said wise. They said temperament. They said excellent knowledge. And Judge Donnie Hoover represents the best of all of us who wear this robe. Now, that person you pictured in your family, your uncle, your aunt, sometimes they move away. But they're available by phone if you have the problem. So I tell you, Judge Hoover, we're still going to call you. You can't get away from us that easily. So when we have a difficult problem, just plan on a phone call from us so you can tell us or advise us what the right thing to do is. And I think that says it all. We're going to miss you. Congratulations to you, to your beautiful family. Go enjoy some trains.
Thank you, Judge Trot. Next, we will call on District Court Judge, the longest serving District Court Judge, Roy Mitchell.
Good afternoon, Senior Resident Superior Court Judge Carla Archie. She knows I love the way that kind of rolls off the tongue. So may it please the court. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Judge Hoover and Maya, who has given us strict instructions about where we are to be, and I wonder where she got all of those kind of detail-oriented focus from. But thank you for first the honor of representing my colleagues on the district court bench and to appreciate our opportunity to celebrate with you. And I will not say retirement. It's a retreat, another synonym for retirement. Because on this retreat, as you enjoy it, I also know that will be a time that God will order your steps for your next journey. And as we think about Judge Hoover and all of the wonderful things you've heard people say about him, you notice that he had a lot of titles, right? He's a UNC alum, and I had to put that in there, being a double Tar Heel. He was also an alum for NCCU. And so when they talked about him first being that alum at UNCC and UNC Chapel Hill, they talked about the movement he made, because we think of Judge Hoover as being one of those who's quiet and reserved, but he is a force to be reckoned with. So they omitted Judge Hoover, which I found out during that time when he was pushing forward as a pioneer. He was part of the Charlotte Mafia. That's what they had been named. So we know that he was pushing things forward, from the Department of Justice to your practice to the district court bench to the superior court bench. And in all of those titles, you have carried three particular characteristics that we think about. One is wisdom, and we've heard people talk about that. The other is compassion, and then finally the commitment to service. So with wisdom, there's an African proverb that says, a wise man fills his head before emptying his mouth. And so Judge Hoover, that's who you have been, wise and making sure people are heard and respected and understood and giving a fair opportunity. We then think about when we're talking about with the wisdom and compassion, everyone's talked about just how giving he is to people and what he's done in the community, but it's not just those big things. You don't hear about where he went to a funeral of one of his co-workers who had forgotten to have the music person there. And he immediately went to the piano and played right through the end. That's who Judge Hoover is. And finally, in that commitment to service, as he's worn all of those hats and understood that it really is not about him, it is about him doing for others. And that's what you've done, Judge Hoover. So during your retreat, I know that it will be wonderful as you think about all the hats that you wear. But we also know, in addition to being a wonderful husband, father, that if he did not have on that mask, when I say grandfather of many, Nolan, you will see the biggest smile ever. So Judge Hoover, this is not retirement. This is retreat, and we look forward to spending time with you continuously. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Attorney James Exum.
Hey, police court. And good afternoon, everybody. First, let me say, when I got the call from Maya, as I've heard other people comment, she was very specific about the timeframes that we had to speak. And as an active attorney, that is a challenge, but I just want Maya to know, and I want everybody to know that I've known the Hoovers for many years, even back when Maya was in high school. And Maya, I just want you to know that I still have the video from the prom. And I guess that allows me to speak as much as I want. Mr. DA, that is not a communication of any threat. But as it relates to Don, it is an absolute honor to stand here on behalf of the firm that he's been with and is still with in my mind. You've got great judges. I think you have to first be, in this circumstance, a great man. Donnie is absolutely positively a great man. Everybody here has heard a number of things about his resume. Judge McCoy Mitchell just commented about the things that we don't always hear about. But that is who Donnie is. The law is as a thing and cold thing sometimes, but Donnie breathes real life into it, and as the Reverend said, and I already knew this from having practiced with him for 16 years, he brought his heart and his soul into the law and into the decisions made. He cared about every circumstance that he had, both prosecution and defense, both civil and otherwise. But he always focused on what he felt in his heart was the right thing, and Donnie was built for that. It was an honor to practice law with him for 16 years. I credit him for me being able to stand here and not be disbarred. He saved me many times from doing things that probably would not have worked out too well. It might have been a little shaky. Donnie would say, well, X, you know, y'all all heard it before. X, you know, that might not be how you want to go about it. And when Donnie says it in that soft but firm voice, you're gonna listen. And then you realize, Donnie's right, we got to do it the other way. But Donnie has brought so much to all of us. Little things, like, for example, we got all this stuff in these courtrooms right now that we have to use because of COVID. But if you remember, Donnie and his wife, praise God, they survived. We were one of the first ones we knew to get COVID. And then Donnie was on television, I think he might have still had COVID, with Glenn Counts, sharing to the world where we've got to take precaution, use these masks and do the right thing. That's just kind of the thing that is in Donnie's heart. And it's the kind of thing that drives him. We're going to miss you substantially. But I'm with Judge McCoy Mitchell. It's just going to be a retreat. No one gets more of you, and that's going to be a blessing, but we don't get less. So, Donnie, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for the commitment that you made to all of us. And stay in there with us because we're going to need you. Was that 2 or 3 minutes fine? Thank you very much.
Speaking of masks. Sorry.
Mr. William Simmons.
Good afternoon. I apologize if I'm not the protocol before, but I've spent a lifetime trying to stay out of this environment. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words about my friend and my classmate. Maya called me. I immediately thought back how long I've known Donnie Hoover. I've known Donnie Hoover over 50 years. I first came to know about Donnie Hoover in 1965. As Judge Blake mentioned in his biography, he was at York Road. Some of my teammates were telling me about this guy that played at York Road. What a outstanding football player he was. I don't know how many of you knew that Donnie Hoover played football. He was an exceptional football player. yeah, this guy played defensive line. He's really out there. I said, Fortunately for me, never got on the field with him. But the following year, he came to West Charlotte, and he became my classmate, my friend. And he became friends with a lot of the 456 people that were in that class. And it wasn't because Donnie's football prowess. It's just like Donnie. He was genuine. He was real. He was just somebody you got to know. He became a part of you. You became a part of him. So we developed that bond over the years, not just me and him, but the rest of the classmates. We became an organized class in 1975, and in preparation for our 10th year anniversary. And we knew Donnie was moving around, doing a lot of things, and we started looking around, and guess who was there? And ever since that day, he's always been a part of us. We've always been a part of him. We knew that he was busy when he was practicing law, but we'd show up at meetings, and when the door would open, Donnie Hoover. He was there when we were planning. He was there when we were doing our social functions. He was always there. So we knew that we loved him, but we also knew that he loved us. I think Judge Mitchell mentioned about the times that he reached out in the community, gotten somewhat personal. I was a recipient of that. Donnie, please forgive me for mentioning this. I've never mentioned this. I lost my dad in 2001. And I guess everybody in here has been through that whole situation. But you make your plans and whatnot. My family got to the front of the church waiting for the processional, and I didn't hear music. And I looked up in the choir stand, and no one was there. So I'm dealing with my grief, but I'm also trying to figure out how to make this work. And out of the right corner of my eye, I saw this figure moving. Donnie Hoover. I went up there in the choir stand and started playing the organ. And we had an immediate procession. My friends saw that I needed help, and he showed up. Donnie Hoover has what I call the Lone Ranger mentality. And I guess everybody knows who the Lone Ranger was. That was one of my heroes when I was coming up. Not because of the horse he rode or the silver bullets. You think back, Lone Ranger saw a problem, he dealt with the problem, and then he got on his horse and left. Nobody had to pat him on the back. He did what he had to do, and then he left. That's Donnie Hoover. If he sees a problem, he's going to deal with it. You don't have to pat him on the back. He's going to do what his heart tells him to do, what his Christian duty would tell him to do. I've always loved him for that, and I still love him for that. I love him for just being Donnie. Maya, I'm going to shut up in But on behalf of the 1967 class of West Charlotte and West Charlotte National Alumni, I'd like to thank you, Judge Donnie Hoover, for your contributions to this community and for being my friend. And I wish you the best, the very best in all your future endeavors. And please let me know if you change the telephone.
believe Ms. Myers.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin my remarks, I wanted to just take a moment to provide a few acknowledgements. First, thank you to everyone for joining today, whether in person or virtually. You know, COVID has really impacted the way we can celebrate things, but I'm just thankful to all of you for coming today and making this day special for my dad. Along those lines, thank you to Ms. Sharice Bell-Davis and Mr. Boris Ryan of B2 Stream for helping us to get this stream to everyone across the country. And I'd also like to thank Keisha Kathy back there for wrangling one little 4-year-old for us today. And then lastly, I'd like to give an extra special thank you to Judge Rita Blake, Judge Carl Archie, and Ms. Yvonne Reed for all of your help behind the scenes getting everything together for today. So thank you all. Now on to my remarks. You know, while you're all aware of my father's long and successful legal career, you may not know that I have also had my very own long legal career. It's almost as long as his. I started off as a junior intern, tagging along during his days at the Department of Justice in DC, but I was offered a paid position as a receptionist once he began in private practice here in Charlotte. I was about 6 or 7 years old. I got paid about $1 an hour, and I purchased a Cabbage Patch Kid with my first paycheck. So that tells you exactly how long ago that was. Now, it didn't seem like an unusual staffing choice at the time until I got older and realized I probably would not hire an attorney who had a 7-year-old answering the phone. But perhaps it was my phenomenal talent at the front desk that kept the practice afloat. I don't know. But as time went on, all of my school breaks were with my dad in his office, even after grad school. Over those years, I learned so much watching my dad work and seeing how he interacted with people, both colleagues and clients. I eventually retired from the legal profession in my 20s and continued my career in marketing. Turns out that marketing expertise would come in handy in 2008 when my dad had to run in the general election to retain his seat in the district court. Before it was all said and done, I ended up managing multiple campaigns for my dad, truly trial by fire. But I was glad to be able to give back to someone who had given so much to me over the years. Now that he is retiring, there are no more phones to answer, no more documents to file, and no more campaign tasks to do, and no more retirement parties to plan either. So I guess I'm officially retiring from the legal profession also. Unfortunately, I have many years left in my day job before I can actually retire myself. But in the meantime, Dad, I wish you all the best as you begin your next phase of life. You've had a phenomenal career, and you've impacted so many people along the way, and for that, you should be truly proud. Now it is my pleasure to turn the program over to a few people who pre-recorded some remarks for you today. So I'll ask you guys to please start the video.
Hi, Donnie. This is your friend Frank Seals Jr., all the way from Washington, D.C. It's my honor and pleasure to wish you well on your retirement. It's well-deserved. You're one of the smartest, hardest working people that I know. And who would have thought, 40 years ago when we first met at the bus stop on our way to the Department of Justice, that we would establish a lifelong friendship and relationship, with our families being very close. You are the godfather of my daughter. And we've just been good friends traveling together all over the world over the years with Josephine, your wife, and my wife, Mary Ann. And it's just been a great relationship. And when you first became a judge, or when you decided to run to be a judge, I told all my friends, I said, I can't think of anyone who's better to serve as a judge than Donnie Hoover. You're smart, you have great intellect, you're profoundly proficient, you have great humility, you're a great humanitarian, and all around just a good guy, just a good person. And so you fit all the qualities that a good judge should have. So I have no doubt that you served the state of North Carolina very well in your tenure as judge. But it's time to take a break. It's time to relax and enjoy yourself, Brother Hoover. You can, sit on the porch with your rocking chair and enjoy your grandson, and just have a great time. You served all of us well. You were a great spokesperson at the Department of Justice, a great lawyer at the Department of Justice, And again, you know, you just put the cap on your career by serving as a judge. So I'm here to wish you well, and you have my support and you have my admiration for all that you've done over the years. And so again, my good friend, Donnie Hoover, enjoy yourself. It's well deserved. You've just been a great patriot and just a good friend and a good public servant over the years. Take care, and I'm here for you anytime.
Hey, Hoove, this is Lynn joining in a tribute to you. You know, there's this vicious rumor going around that you finally decided to join the ranks of the happily retired. Aside from Joe getting annoyed at having you underfoot all the time, I can assure you that you're going to absolutely love it, especially since it will mean loads more time Pop to hang out with little Nolan, fishing, and visiting every single train station within a 50-mile radius of Charlotte. The only downside is that North Carolinians are losing one of the absolute best of their sitting jurists. Donnie, throughout the years, I know that you've given your all to this job, to your calling. You've devoted your intellect, your vast legal knowledge, your common sense, which, as we all know, and as my mother used to tell us all, ain't so very common. And last, but never least, your sense of fairness and compassion to all those who've appeared before you. I have no doubt that the legal community will sorely miss you, and your departure will leave a void that will be awfully, awfully hard to fill. So, my most favorite Southern country boy, welcome to retirement. You have worked so hard to earn it, and you are going to absolutely love it. Best wishes, my dearest Hoove.
What in the court? Papa, I wish you a happy retirement. You were gone for a long, long time. Now it's time to get back with like the rides and trains. Choo-choo! I love you, Papa. Mwah! Court is adjourned.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So I started to prepare some written remarks, but I realized I wouldn't be able to read with tears. So I'm just going to have to talk from the heart. First of all, I have to give thanks to my daughter who visualized this occasion and saw it to fruition. I told her I had never seen or been to a retirement party for a judge, so I had no clue what to tell her or what to do. So she did this all by herself. So thank you so much. And she was truthful about how she retired from the legal profession for about 40 years herself. I did put her to work as soon as I could. Assisting me. So she's been on this journey the whole time that I have involved my wife. We've been married now for over 53 years. So thank you so much, sweetheart. And you know my little buddy there, I don't have to tell you anything about him, that's my road partner right there. We're gonna have some good times together now. I promise you that. I'd like to thank all of my coworkers. They talk about what I might have done for them, but I promise you, they've done just as much for me as I've done for them. I'd like to thank my pastor, who has helped to keep me on the straight and narrow, and I hope to continue in that direction. Butch didn't tell you all the stories, thank God. He neglected to mention that we were also members of the same social club in West Charlotte. And I tell you, I don't know what was wrong with your program, but them folks at West Charlotte partied a whole lot harder. I'll leave it at that, Butch. And Exxon, Lord, have mercy. Exxon is one I'm not this far. I'll never forget the first day he hadn't been with us, I don't know, a few months maybe. He came to me and asked me if I would sit second chair with him on the case. So, you know, I figured, well, what kind of case can this kid have that I can't have? So I didn't ask him what it was. I just said, sure, you know, what do you need me to do? He said, well, it's a first degree murder. I passed out. I've never had a first degree murder. So the whole time I'm going, Lord, please don't let him leave me. Nothing I can do to help him escape. And sure enough, well, you guys are familiar with his trial. He was able to pull that out of the bag. He had been practicing for a year or two at that time. So he's the one that it was saving me more than I saved him. But I again like to give honor to my family, to all of those. There are some people who are watching this by video. I'd like to extend my appreciation to them. All of you who have helped me over the years with the elections. And believe me, you know, I never intended to have to run an election because my knowledge had been, you know, once you became a judge, nobody opposed you, nobody ran against you. So all you had to do was get in and kind of had it made. Well, they created a new seat here in Mecklenburg County in 2008. And I said, well, I get appointed to that seat. You know, I wouldn't have to campaign and set. That's my career. So fortunately, Governor Easley appointed me to that position. And I told him I would need about a month to close my practice. Well, the filing period was in February. I got appointed in January. File of 2008, filing period was in February. And my plan was to get sworn in on February 29th. Well, lo and behold, I think the second day of the filing period, before I even filed, somebody had filed against me. So there I was having to figure out how to run a campaign. And my trusted daughter came along, figured it out, and led me through it. And she led me through all of the re-elections. And so I thank all of you out there who helped, who volunteered, who contributed, who did whatever it was you did to help me over the years. I truly hope that I have helped someone along the way. That's been my desire. You know, it wasn't just about putting people in jail. It wasn't just about, getting people off the streets. I mean, you know, I learned earlier, I thought it would be hard for me to send somebody to jail with my temperament and whatever you call I learned right quick. We need jails. And it wasn't very hard for me to send some of those folks to jail. But at the same time, some folks needed compassion. They needed help. You know, I had people that were here before me and said, Judge, I want to support my kids, but I just can't find a job. So it became incumbent upon me to try to help them to find jobs so they could feed the babies. Because the ultimate, I kind of coined the phrase in 8110 that we're there to feed the babies. And that was my purpose, there to make sure as many babies as possible got fed. And putting somebody in jail wasn't going to feed anybody, it was just going to make us have to feed somebody else. So I hope that some of what I've done will linger. I do assure you that I'll be available for whatever consultations may be needed. I'll give it my best shot. Even though this is a bittersweet day, the sweet thing is I'll be able to spend more time with my family. It was like me, those were two of the best friends on the video from the Justice Department. Lynn and I worked in the same section. Frank and I, as he said, met at a bus stop. We were living in the same area, Southwest DC, and we used the same bus stop. And it was funny. I always thought he dressed nice. He had these silk shirts and matching pants. And I had about 2 suits that I would alternate. He was going on telling the wife about how he met this guy who has suits every day, wears suits. And I was going home telling my wife about I met this guy who was so clean, all his shirts and silk and pants matching. So we did become and remain best of friends. Lynn and I worked in the same section and we became best friends. And she ultimately became a judge in the United States Claims Court. And Frank, who's telling me to retire, is the general counsel of the DC Department of Transportation and has announced that he never retired. So mighty strange you can tell me to retire. I was really amazed. I don't know how Mike pulls this stuff off, but thank you very much. And I thank you all for coming today. I thank you all for particularly Patricia Timmons-Goodson. I can't thank you enough. As she said, she swore me in the first day that I became a judge, and she followed me and helped me all along the way. We see each other at different events. We're both graduates of Carolina, and we see each other at different events, and she's always been supportive of me, and I appreciate it. I certainly appreciate you taking the time to come here today. Thank you all very much. And I don't know where they're probably out of town.
Well, I think we have one more activity as your family comes forward. It is very common, as you've heard, that we do ceremonial swearing in. It is very uncommon to do a ceremonial retirement, but as part of today's activities, the family has planned a debriefing of Judge Hoover.
They'd be frocking me. That's what
We can find his broken zipper apparently.
Thank you, Judge. Again, we wish you well in your retirement.
Of course, I have the excellent, can I apply for a job now? I'm on the current trial calendar, you can start.
We'll last call on, Reverend Witherspoon Brown to close us out with the.
Donnie, Josephine, Maya, Nolan, Sean. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Mr. Bailiff, if you would, Matthew.
Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. This ceremony session of Superior Court for the 26th Judicial District in honor of Superior Court Judge Donnie Hoover is adjourned.
Thank you.